In this video, we'll be finding the area of a region between two curves. To find the area of a region between two curves, find the area under the upper curve and then subtract the area under the lower curve. The problem that we'll be working on is to determine the area of the region bounded by the graphs of y equal x squared and y equals the square root of x. Now I've drawn a sketch to show these two functions. Our y equal x squared is this parabola right here, and then y equals square root of x is this curve right here. So the region that we're going to find the area of is this shaded region right here. So the first thing we want to do is find the point where the two functions intersect. And it looks like 1, 1, but sometimes it's not so obvious. So I'm going to show you what needs to be done. To find the point where the two functions intersect, we want to solve the system y equals x squared, which is our first function here, and y equals square root of x. Now we'll solve that system by substitution or elimination. I'm going to use substitution since they're both equal to y. I can set them equal to each other. So we have x squared is equal to square root of x. Now to remove the radical, we can square both sides. So let's do that. And so we have x to the fourth power is equal to x. Let's move this x to the left side and then factor. So we have x to the fourth minus x is equal to 0. And then we can factor out an x and get x cubed minus 1 is equal to 0. So this factor gives me x is equal to 0, and this factor is x is equal to 1. So we can see from our graph x equals 0 is this point where the two functions intersect, and x is equal to 1 is right here. If we put that back in, we get y is equal to 1 squared, which is 1. So the point where the two functions intersect is the point 1, 1. So now we need to find the area. First, the area under the top function, which is our square root function, and then we'll subtract from that the area under the lowest function, which is the parabola. So we have the integral from 0 to 1 of square root of x subtract x squared. So let me write this radical with an exponent. This is the integral from 0 to 1 of x to the 1/2 minus x squared. So now we can integrate. We'll increase the exponent by 1, which gives us 3/2, and then divide by that new exponent. So I have x to the 3/2 divided by 3/2 minus x cubed divided by 3. And we're evaluating from 0 to 1. Let me just simplify this complex fraction. This is 2/3 x to the 3/2 minus 1/3 x cubed. So we first want to put 1 into this expression and then subtract from that what we get when we substitute 0 in. When we put 1 in, 1 to any power is still 1. So I have 2/3 minus 1/3, and then subtract from that. When I put 0 in, both of these terms are 0. So that's 0. 2/3 minus 1/3 is 1/3. So the area between the curves is 1/3.